Okay, class, this is Sensei. We're going to be doing dividing polynomials. Just so you know, we're just doing things regular here at the Sensei household. That background music was actually my wife singing, believe it or not. You're not going to believe it. That was her. It wasn't fake or anything like that. It was legit live music. So we'll probably be hearing music here now because things run in the household. You know, we play music, we roller skate, we do stuff, but we're also going to be doing dividing polynomials. Alright, so here we go. Get your math paper, pencils, and out, and we're ready to do it. Okay, so we're actually doing this is actually 8.3.1, dividing polynomials. Okay, now again, you're going to be hearing Sanchez commotion here because we are actually homeschooling. Everyone's running around. Layla, say hi. Show Penny. There's our fat cat, Penny. She's fat cat. That's okay. And they're going to be doing homeschooling down there in our living room. There's Mrs. Sanchez. That's Leanne. And okay, here we go. Dividing polynomials. Alrighty. So let's go back to 5th grade when you learned how to do long division. So now we're going to do 2 columns here. I'm going to try to do side by side. Alright, let's draw our line. Here we go. Let's divide 1,476. Let's divide that by 12. Now, you can write this down. We can use this as Godzilla time. You already know how to do this, but I'm actually going to go ahead and show you. There's a reason for this, okay, that I'm doing this. Now, when I divide 1,476 divided by 12, you say to yourself, hey, does 12 go into 1? And you say, no, it doesn't. But does 12 go into 14? And you say, yes, it does. It goes in 1 time. Okay? Now, what do? You say, you multiply 1 times 12, and you get 12. And then what do? You subtract. Okay, and you say 1 times 12 is 12. And then we say, okay, now what is 14 minus 12? Well, that's 2. Then what do? We bring down the 7. Again, bear with me. I know you know how to do this, but there's a method to my madness here. Now you say, how many times does 12 go into 27? Well, you say it goes in 2 times. And you put the 2 directly above the 7. 2 times 12 is 24. Then we, of course, subtract. 27 minus 24 is 3. Then what do? We bring down the 6. Bring the 6 down, draw a little arrow. Pink, pink. And we say, hey, how many times does 12 go into 36? Well, it goes in 3 times. 3 times 12 is 36. Then you subtract, and then you say, oh, that is 0. There's nothing else to bring down. And you say my answer is 123. Okay, so dividing polynomials is the exact same idea. So let's go ahead and take a look here. So here's what we're going to divide. Let's divide on the side so it looks exactly the same. I want you to compare the 2 steps that we do here. Let's divide x squared plus 5x plus 6. Let's divide that by x plus 3. Now it looks kind of crazy, but we're going to do the same exact thing here as that we did over here. So here's how you do this, okay? Now, you're going to have to pause the video a couple times probably to get this concept, but once you get the concept, it kind of makes sense. Just like I said here, I want to get rid of this 1, so I just multiply this out so this 1 becomes 0. Think of this. Let's think of we want to get rid of the x squared. And you say to yourself, what do I multiply x by to get rid of x squared? Okay? But because this I'm dividing by 12, see how the 12 is here, but I put my first one above the 4. I'm going to put my first thing I divide by above my x term. Okay? So, again, I'm going to ask you, what do I multiply by x to get x squared? You want them to be the same. Yes, you multiply it by x. And then you multiply, right? Just multiply. What is x times 3? 3x. What is x times x? X squared, right? It's a positive 3x. After I multiplied by 12, what did I do here? You subtracted. So here we go. I am going to subtract. All right? Now, what I like to do is I like to add the opposite. So instead of subtracting, I'm going to change this to an addition. And when I do, I'm going to change the signs in all of these. So this becomes an addition. Now instead of a positive x, I got a negative x. Instead of positive 3, I got a negative 3. Now I can just straight up subtract. You don't have to do this, but I like to do this. It makes it easier for me. So now I can say this. Look at this. What does 5x take away 3x? Well, that is 2x. What does x squared take away x squared? Well, that's 0, so we just leave it like that. In other words, we have that. Now, once I did 14 minus 12, I had the 2. What did I do next? Yes, you brought down the 7. So here, the same thing, I'm going to bring down the positive 6. Okay? And now you say to yourself, okay, I want to get rid of the 2x. What do I multiply x by to make it equal to 2x? Yes, we multiply it by 2. So we're going to go ahead and add 2. Now, what's the next step? You multiply 2 times this whole thing here. What is 2 times 3? We got a 6. What is 2 times x? We got a 2x. It's a positive 6. And then what do? We subtract. Okay? And let's go ahead and change our signs. This will become an addition. So then this becomes a negative. Then this becomes a negative. What is 6 minus 6? 0. 2 minus 2? 0. What do we have left over? 0, nothing left. So x plus 3 times x, sorry, let me rephrase that. X squared plus 5x plus 6 divided by x plus 3 equals x plus 2. Now, a quick thing, you can fast forward through this part if you want, but basically, if I multiply these two, it should equal that. So let's multiply it. X plus 3 times x plus 2. What does that equal? Let's do FOIL. X times x is x squared. Whoops, equals x squared. X times 2 is 2x. 3 times x is 3x. And 3 times 2 is 6. X squared, 2x plus 3x is 5x plus 6. And you see this equals that. Okay? So anyway, that's how you divide, simple how you divide polynomials. Let's try a couple more, okay? Okay, so now what do we have here? 6x to the 4th minus 7x cubed plus 11x squared minus 9x plus 2. So this is a little bit more complicated because we actually have a 4th degree polynomial here. We're going to divide that by 3x minus 2. So let's go. We need a lot of space for this one. So you need a lot of space for this one. Let's go. 6x to the fourth minus 7x cubed plus 11x squared minus 9x plus 2 divided by, look at that, 3x minus 2. Now if you want, you can pause it and try this on your own. But here we go. I'm going to go ahead and start this. Okay, pause it on your own, and then until you get stuck, hit play on the video. Okay, so now I want what? Okay, so think of the 3x and the 6x to the fourth. I want 3x to equal 6x to the fourth. So what's that going to be? Well, 2 times 3 is 6. X to the third times x is x to the fourth. And you want, it's going to be x to the third, so you want to put it over your x to the third. So we're going to say here 2x to the third, right? Line up your x to the thirds. 2 times 3 is 6. X to the third times x is x to the fourth. There, that's the same. Now you have to multiply it by 2. 2 times 2 is negative 4. X to the third times 2 is x to the third. Now, again, I am going to subtract, but what I like to do is I like to change this to an addition. That becomes a negative, and then this becomes a positive. Okay? I don't know. I just think it's easier to see. You don't have to do that way if you can figure out whether you're positive. I think it's easier to subtract that way. So now I say negative 7x squared plus 4, negative 7x cubed plus 4x cubed will be negative 3x cubed. Bring down my 11x squared. Okay, now what can I multiply by 3x to get 3x squared? Well, it's a negative, so I want a negative. Sorry, it's the same color. Negative, but do it above my x squared, negative x squared. Okay, so that'll be negative. You remember, you want it to be the same. So if this is a negative, you want this to be a negative. Negative x cubed times 2x would be positive 4x squared. Again, we are going to subtract. I like to change the sign, so this now becomes a positive. You can see that's going to disappear, and that can become a negative. 11 minus 4 is 7x squared. Bring down, whoops, sorry about that. Bring down the negative 9x. Negative 9x. Whoops, sorry. I made a mistake. Let's see, rewind here. X squared times 3x squared. Negative x squared times 3x squared is negative 3x squared. Negative x squared times negative 2. What's that? I know some of you is killing you. This should be negative 2x. Okay, negative 2x. So that's a 2. Sorry, can you see that? That's a 2. Now 11 minus 2x is actually going to be 9x. So make that a 9. Best as I can. Sorry, I can't edit these videos, so my mistakes are going to show. Hopefully you can see that. So now that fixes that. Now I can say, what times 3x equals 9x squared? Okay, and so that is going to be now that's going to be, what times 3 times 3 is 9. So I got 3x. So that'll be 3 times 3 is 9x squared. 3 times 2 is negative 6x. I am now going to subtract. Now I like to change this to an addition, so I do a plus, a negative, and make that a positive. So now negative 9x plus 6x is actually going to be negative 3x. Bring down the 2 plus 2. And then we're going to say, hey, what times 3x equals negative 3x? Well, that is going to be negative 1. Negative 1 times 3 is negative 3x. Negative 1 times 2 is positive 2. We are now going to subtract. This becomes an addition. This becomes a positive. That becomes a negative. 2 minus 2 is 0. Negative 3 plus 3 is 0. And that's your answer right there. Okay, so that's pretty much the lesson. Now I'm going to do a couple more for practice. Okay, we're going to do 2 more here. So, here we go. Again, I know we're at 17 minutes. If you want to go ahead and you don't have to do this one, but this one's good for practice, okay? So we have here 6x cubed plus 7x squared minus 16x plus 10, all divided by 2x plus 5. Let's rewrite that as a long division problem. Here we go. You can just write it as a long division if you want. I just want you to see 6x cubed plus 7x squared minus 16x plus 10, all divided by 2x plus 5. Okay, here we go. Now, what times 2x equals 6x cubed? Well, I know 3, and remember it's got to be squared, so I'm going to go above the squared. So I'm going to say 3x squared. 3 times 2 is 6. X squared times x is x cubed. Plus 3 times 5 is 15 x squared. Now again, you can just straight up subtract, but I like to change the sign. So make this a negative, and then make that a negative. So now I can see that my answer is actually going to be negative 7x squared minus 15x squared would be negative 8x squared minus 16x. Okay, so now, how many times does 2x go into negative 8x squared? Remember, you want it to be the same, so you want it to be negative. And that'll be negative 4x. Notice how I have my x above my x. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. X times x is x squared. Negative 4 times 5 is negative 20 times x is x. We subtract, but Sensei likes to add the opposite. And now I can see, hey, this becomes positive 4 x, bring down the 10. Okay, now how many times does 2x go into 4x? Well, guess what? That's going to be 2 times, because 2 times 2x is 4x. 2 times 5 is 10. Let's go ahead and subtract those, and I'm going to switch the sign. You don't have to switch the sign, but I am, and look at that. We got 0, and then there is our answer. Oh, let's take a little break. Again, you don't have to go through this break. You can fast forward. You know, whenever you see my face, I'm just kind of going on a tangent here. So I just figure we're doing a lot of long division, 20 minutes of it without even taking a break. Stretch out. And while we're doing this break, I have a recommendation for you. While we're here, Humu, the little fish who wanted to wash his colors away. All right, so I just recommend this book because this book basically just has an idea is, you know, Humu was really upset because he wanted to be like all the other fish. He just wanted to be one color. But if you look, he's actually many different colors. Humu. and he wished his colors away, and then guess what? He regretted it. So what's the moral of the story? You are special just for who you are. Just like Humu didn't like who he was, but then he realized, hey, I am the way I am. You are you who you should be and never ever change. Just unless of course you're doing irresponsible stuff. Don't want to be a responsible person, a loving, kind person, all that stuff. But all your stuff that you have, all those gifts, right? We have our gifts. You have your gifts. Okay, just like Humu. I recommend it. The author is Kimberly A. Jackson. Okay, Little Rainbow Books. Go ahead and check that out on Amazon. Read it to your little brother or sister so that they can feel strong about who they are. Humu, the fish who wished away his colors. I mean, I could give you some extra, but I want to do some spoilers here. Like, look at this. He's crying because there's Humu, got rid of his colors, and he's crying because he misses his colors, right? Maybe I should just do a book reading for you guys. You can just read the book. I could do a book reading, and look at. Then guess what? He wished his colors back. There's his colors coming back. Yay! Go get your colors, Humu. Should I show you where he puts the jacket on? Look, see, he's crying, but he sees his colors. His friends are all, Humu, we like you for who you are. And then they go, and then they say, okay, look it. He goes and he puts the colors back on, and he's happy. I don't know, it's some Hawaiian book. It's Hawaiian about Humu. Because honestly, look at his name. I'll tell you his name. Because his Hawaiian name was Humu Humu Nu Kunu Kunu Kupu Uu A. That's his name. Look it, I'll show it to you right there. Can you read that? Right. Anyway, there. Humu Humu Unu Kunu Unu Ku'u Pu'u A. That's his name. All right, hey, we better get. I'm going off on a tangent here. We got to start doing some more. I have one more long division problem for you to do. The other one, last one is practice. This one is a special circumstance. So here you go. Let's take a look at it. Okay. Now look at this one. I have it written down in a different way, but if you look at it, there's something wrong with it. See if you can figure out what's wrong with this division problem compared to what we've seen before. You might not catch it right away, but look at it very closely. Pause if you haven't figured it out before I tell you. Okay, here we go. I'm going to tell you. Notice the exponents, well, let's say this. I'm missing an x squared. And the exponents are not in descending order. I'm missing an x squared. You need it to be consecutive. All right? So what do we do? Now, if you don't have that, it's going to mess you all up. So let's rewrite the problem like this. X to the fourth minus 6 x cubed plus, okay, guess what? There is an x squared. We'll just write it as 0x squared plus 18x minus 4 divided by x minus 2. So if you are missing one of the exponents, you can go ahead and add the put in that exponent as a 0. And we'll write it like this. Here we go. This is going to be a long one. X to the fourth minus 6x cubed plus 0x squared plus 18x minus 4. All of that divided by x minus 2. Okay, here we go. How many times is x going to x to the fourth? Well, it'll go in x to the third time. X third times x is x to the fourth. X third times 2 is negative 2x cubed. Notice I have the x cubed above the x cubed. I'm going to subtract it, change the sign, that becomes a negative, that becomes a positive. You know what? Try this on your own. You guys got to practice these, right? You have to practice them or else it won't work, or else you won't get it. Okay, negative 6x cubed plus 2x cubed is going to be negative 4x cubed plus 0x squared. Okay, now, how to make x equal to negative 4x cubed? Well, let's, it'll be negative 4x squared. No, I just brought the 0x. That's my placer. If I didn't have that, I would kind of, everything would get messed up. So negative 4 times x is negative 4x cubed. Remember, you want it to be the same. You want it to be negative. And then minus 8x squared. Okay, so then we go ahead and subtract. I'm going to go ahead and change that to an addition plus plus plus, because that just makes it easier for me to see that, hey, this is actually going to be a positive 8x squared. Bring down my 18x. And how many times is x going to 8x squared? Well, it's going to go in 8x times. 8 times x is 8x squared. 8 times negative 2 is negative. Sorry about that. Okay. Sorry, I found a mistake. Let's see here. What did I do? This negative 4 times x is negative 4x. Negative 4 times 2 is positive 8x. When I change the sign, it becomes a negative, so this will be a negative. So then I want this to be a negative. So that'd be negative, and then this will be positive 16x. Change the sign. That'll be a negative. So make that a positive, and a negative. 18x minus 16x would be positive 2x minus 4. And then multiply by positive 2. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. I go ahead and I subtract. And I want to change this to an addition. That'll be negative. That'll be a positive. Then that'll be 0. And then there is your answer. Okay, sorry about that mistake. So remember, this is a negative. Negative times 2 would be positive. Negative 8 times positive 2 would be positive 16. Then I change it to a negative. Okay, so that was dividing polynomials. Alright, so you need to practice this. This is going to be really challenging for you to do on your own. So come to my office hours. I'll be available on Wednesdays and Fridays, or if you see this another time, come see me in my classroom. And anyway, keep working hard. Tomorrow I'm going to drop another video on an easier way to do this, but make sure you know how to do this long division. This is Sensei signing off. Hang in there, guys.